Joe Biden is bragging that he saved 125,000 Afghanistan people again.
That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history.
And ain't no nation ever gonna do no shit like that ever in history. Don't no other nation want all them damn foreigners. But enough about the foreigners. Let's talk about the soldiers.
And they did it knowing ISIS-K terrorists, sworn enemies of the Taliban, were lurking in the midst of those crowds.
Motherfucker, we sworn enemies of the Taliban. So what that got to do with anything? Next!
I can tell you this, though, about what the Taliban has done. They established a firm perimeter outside of the airfield to prevent people from coming on the airfield during our departure.
So now all of a sudden the Taliban is the United States security guards in Afghanistan. Ain't that a bitch?
While they stated their intent to enter and occupy Kabul, they also offered to work with us on a deconfliction mechanism to prevent miscalculation while our forces operated in close quarters.
What you need coordination of that for? They supposed to keep guard of the front gate, let people in, and you supposed to put people on the plane and take people out. What in the hell you need coordination for that for? All the Taliban was supposed to be operating as bodyguarding.
Finally, they promised not to interfere with our withdrawal.
Why is you sons of bitches so gun-ho on the Taliban? Don't you know they still a terrorist fool and they kill thousands of Americans? You forgot about that? Next! Let's hear what Joe Biden got to say about the troops.
And still, the women and men of the United States military, our diplomatic corps, and intelligence professionals did their job and did it well, risking their lives, not for professional gains, but to serve others. Not in a mission of war, but in a mission of mercy.
I hope if the Taliban catch your ass, they don't have no mercy on you. Because you're not worried about the soldiers. You and your administration is worried about a damn airlift.
A historic airlift operation, one that evacuated more than 120,000 people in the middle of a civil war facing ISIS threats.
Well, if the Taliban is enemies of ISIS, that means the Taliban was facing the same threats too. Next! So how in the hell they let an ISIS member get through the crowd?
20 service members were wounded in the service of this mission. 13 heroes gave their lives.
And their blood is on your hands.
Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Wave. We friends? We friends? 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 Yeah? Friends. Friends.
Joe Biden, I wonder what you would say to this soldier's mother.
And his mother, who's an excellent mom, is doing the best that she can, considering the circumstances.
That Joe Biden put her son in. Where is Donald Trump to console the mothers when you need them?
He never cried out in pain or anything like that. No. Asked that his men be taken care of and all.
What rank was he in?
He was a staff sergeant and all. Not a general, not anything like that, just a staff sergeant.
Now that is genuine compassion.
Sergeant.
You take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
You take care of yourself, okay?
I so appreciate you and you too very much. President, thank you so much.
Don't you think the mothers right now miss Donald Trump? Because all you get from Joe Biden is reading off a teleprompter.
20 service members were wounded in the service of this mission. 13 heroes gave their lives. I was just at Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer. We owe them and their families a debt of gratitude we can never repay.
Well, you should have showed your gratitude at the transfer instead of looking at your damn watch.
Reweaving that social fabric that holds a society together. Honesty, decency, hope, leaving nobody behind.
Joe Biden, what happened to no man left behind?
But we will leave no one behind.
It seemed like you left a lot of American citizens behind. Next! Wait a minute. I thought Joe Biden said he had to stick with Donald Trump May 1st evacuation. You mean to tell me Joe Biden set 2 more dates
The president said in his remarks just a short time ago that in April, a deadline was set for August 31st. In fact, in his April remarks, he set a deadline for September 11th. So what changed over these last few months between the August 31st deadline and the September 11th initial deadline? Was that a deadline agreed to, a new time frame agreed to by the Taliban or suggested by them or by this administration, or what's the discrepancy there?
September 11th and August 31st? It seemed like to me Joe Biden made his own damn date. If he wanted to, he could have made it even longer.
The military gave their assessment that they needed 120 days to wind down our presence in Afghanistan. So we abided by that.
So that was Joe Biden rule and not the Taliban rule. So the Taliban didn't have shit to do with an August 31st deadline, because remember, the deadline was supposed to be May 1st.
But in the April speech, September 11th was the date. The August 31st date just arrived between April and now.
And he bases strategic decisions, tactical decisions, I should say, on the advice of the military and commanders on the ground and the timeline they needed to wind down our presence. And hence, here we are.
Well, why in the hell y'all just started evacuating 2 damn weeks ago? It seemed like to me y'all should have been evacuating in April when y'all redone Trump deal of May 1st.
It was his timeline, though. It was not the Taliban's timeline.
Well, if it was Joe Biden's timeline, why in the hell he keep talking about Donald Trump's?
In April, I made a decision to end this war. As part of that decision, we set the date of August 31st for American troops to withdraw.
So you set the date for August. So it was your date. So why in the hell you keep talking about May 1st when your ass said 2 other dates?
So he moved up the timeline to August 31st.
We needed 120 days, and we abided by the advice of the military.
Well, the whole military should have been fired. As slow as the Biden administration is moving, them motherfuckers needed a whole year.
We have asked and talked a little bit about the president's mood over the last few days, or his sense of all of this. A few of us observed he seemed angry at the beginning of the speech today. Who's he mad at?
He should be mad at his motherfucking self. The only people that are mourning that Joe Biden show love to is the black people that are shot by the police.
Son was killed in action on 9/11/2008. He was a U.S. Navy SEAL.
Absolutely.
Where?
In Afghanistan on a night mission. He was shot.
Jimmy. He
Going into the
was going to
compound, and
die.
he saved his team.
He knew he
And he
was
took
going
the
to
kid,
kill,
and he
and
died
wasn't coming
that
home,
night.
and he asked to not be forgotten.
You take care. He's looking down. He's very proud.
Thank you so much.
Just
Thank you for everything you're doing for the country.
He show love to their family, but he won't show no love to somebody who fought for the country. Why is that, Joe? Next!
The Taliban offered the United States control of Kabul, and instead the United States focused on the airport. Have you been able to review that report, and is it accurate?
You know damn well she's not going to tell you anything that's accurate.
Well, I'm not going to speak to private conversations, but what I will tell you is that it obviously required the deployment of 6,000 U.S. military forces to secure the airport, given the Afghan National Security Forces collapsed from that protection.
So what? That 6,000 additional troops would have saved them 13 troops' lives.
For the Americans who are currently in hiding and who very much want to come home, not the other set, what is the administration's message to them? Should they try and head to the border? Should they try and book a flight out of there? Or should they remain in hiding and hope that the diplomacy kicks in?
Whatever message they send to the stranded Americans, it shouldn't be a message by Joe Biden.
Help everyone in need. Look out for one another. Leave nobody behind.
Because it will be a damn lie. Next!
My question, the president said that the U.S. should learn from its mistakes in the past. Does the president have any mistakes that he thinks he made during this withdrawal in Afghanistan that he wants to learn from?
Joe Biden? Hell no.
Now some say we should have started mass evacuation sooner. And couldn't this have been done in a more orderly manner? I respectfully disagree.
Joe Biden said everything he done was right. That's why the soldiers lost their lives. According to Joe Biden, that was part of the plan, because he didn't plan for the Taliban.
Well, I would say I think the president's been pretty clear that we all had an expectation that the Afghan National Security Forces would fight harder in the end, would fight against the Taliban.
Who in the fuck told you that? Did the Afghanistani army tell you that? Or was you just guessing?
We all had an expectation that President Ghani would not flee the country. Those were not expectations that were clearly met.
Well, your expectations got Americans killed and a lot more injured. What you got to say about that?
The assumption was that more than 300,000 Afghan National Security Forces.
Next! Nigga, we is not talking about no Afghan security forces. Stop blaming Afghanistan security forces for your fuck up.
That he shouldn't have made those assumptions about the Afghan government. Is that the lesson for him then?
Well, I think most people made that assumption, but I don't have any more for you.
Including admitting that Joe Biden and his administration done fucked up.
But would you be willing to, would this administration be willing to sit before a hearing? Some in this administration go before Congress and answer questions about their part in this war.
Hell no, because they know they fucked up. They thought the Afghan army was going to stand up, but guess what happened?
The Taliban back on the streets, back in control. The group assured amnesty for everyone. The announcement was made from the office of a former government spokesman they'd killed a few weeks ago.
Damn, he assured amnesty and his ass was killed?
His death was justified as a punishment for his deeds.
I guess Allah said he was lying. They not giving no niggas no amnesty.
The Taliban has made public commitments, broadcast on television and radio across Afghanistan, on safe passage for anyone wanting to leave, including those who worked alongside Americans.
Well, I bet ain't nobody gonna announce that shit no more unless they want to go see Allah they motherfucking self. Next! Joe Biden, what happened to the nigga that saved your life? Why his ass ain't in America?
And according to the Wall Street Journal, an interpreter that actually rescued Joe Biden and several other senators 13 years ago during a horrible snowstorm in Afghanistan when their helicopter had to be landed. He's now hiding, marked for dead.
But now the Biden administration is friends with the very same motherfuckers that Muhammad was protecting them from.
The other piece is engagement with the Taliban, which will continue through our ongoing channels that we have with the Taliban on the diplomatic front.
Now Joe Biden is having diplomacy with the same people that tried to kill him and kill thousands of Americans.
I can tell you this, though, about what the Taliban has done. They established a firm perimeter outside of the airfield to prevent people from coming on the airfield during our departure.
Now you got General Frank McKenzie telling the world how nice the Taliban is. But we know better.
Even since the pledge of pardon, others have been killed. Haji Mullah Achakzai was the security director of Badghis province. Multiple sources have told the BBC he was executed by the Taliban just over a week ago.
Taliban is back up to their old tricks, but the United States is trying to have diplomacy with terrorists.
Well, it's going to be based on what their behavior is. And I think the president clearly outlined that we're going to be watching, as the world will.
How in the hell we going to be watching? We ain't got no embassy, no foot on the ground, no intelligence. And why is people worried about the Taliban when there's an ISIS trying to kill Americans?
And again, there was absolutely no question we were not going to be challenged by the Taliban. If we're going to be challenged, it was going to be by ISIS.
So even if y'all got diplomacy with the Taliban, the Americans that stranded not going to get killed by the Taliban. They're going to get killed by ISIS. Joe Biden sent them American soldiers to a death trap.
Looked at the way that the Taliban had, pretty much infiltrated the whole country so fast.
And Joe Biden let them. Because Joe Biden was still on vacation. It's strange how Joe Biden take a vacation when Taliban take over Afghanistan.
And we were just it seemed, left to just this one little airport. Really concerned me.
I take responsibility for the decision.
Remember that in the impeachment trial, nigga. Next!
And the videos that we were getting and the pictures that we were getting from him looked somewhat chaotic.
But Joe Biden was telling us everything is under control. And Joe Biden, did you call these American soldiers' parents and tell them their kids have died? under your watch?
So, basically what had happened was, how I found out is I was glued to the TV all day yesterday because, I had woken up and I wasn't feeling well, and I just felt like something was wrong. My wife felt that there was something wrong. And, as we go downstairs, we realized that this had happened. And now, we're like, well, there's some, legitimacy to how we're feeling.
And there's no legitimacy to what the Biden administration is saying. They even lie on other countries, not just Afghanistan and the military.
There seems to be an accusation by the Americans that we somehow endangered their forces on the ground by insisting on one of the gates at the airport remaining open. What is the truth of that?
Joe Biden is trying to blame other countries for the soldiers' death.
Look, we coordinate very closely with the US, in particular around the ISIS-K threat that we anticipated, although tragically we're not able to prevent.
How did other countries know it was going to be an attack and they couldn't prevent it, but the Biden administration didn't know it?
It's just not true to suggest that other than securing our civilian staff inside the airport, that we were pushing to leave the gate open. In fact, and let me just be clear about this, we were issuing changes of travel advice before the bomb attack took place, and saying to people in the crowd, what I was particularly concerned, that certainly UK nationals and anyone else should leave because of the risk.
Joe Biden is trying to blame the Afghanistan withdrawal on Donald Trump, and now he's trying to blame the soldiers' death on the UK. The UK soldiers got the fuck up out of there because they knew the risk and they knew it was going to be a damn bomb go off. Why the Biden administration didn't leave? Next! That's something to think about, because he damn sure didn't make that phone call to show his respects.
And so I'm glued to the TV all day. I have my and I see, it says 3 wounded, then 3 killed, then 10 killed, then 12, then 13.
And let's not forget about how many wounded. Them American soldiers shouldn't be forgotten either.
Then they said that the president was going to talk, I believe at 1 o'clock. So I felt like, maybe from that speech, I'd be able to get whether or not all the families had been contacted, or if they still have to been contacted, because previously I had seen that the prior administration would normally contact people first,
Yes.
The actual president of the United States.
Donald Trump would have contacted the parents before he would have made a press conference.
So I had some sort of sense hey, okay, maybe that would happen. That's not happening, and things are still transpiring to be, a little more grave. And I start Googling, well, how long does it take for the military to, inform its next of kin?
It takes just as long as Joe Biden's speech handlers take the right of speech, because Joe Biden don't give a damn about the parents.
Mark, you met with Biden over the weekend. How did that go?
I know you met with the president. What was that like?
Why did you choose not to meet with the president, Barron?
Well, initially I wasn't going to meet with him, but then I felt I owed it to my son to at least have some words with him about how I felt.
We said absolutely not. We didn't want to deal with him. We didn't want him anywhere near us.
I actually declined the meeting with the president.
We as a family decided that was the way it was going to be.
We went to a different room. When he came, we went to a separate room. I had no desire to meet with the president.
And it didn't go well.
Why?
The way he has handled this, everything he's done, every step along the way has been absolutely backwards. And I don't understand the process of how they came to the decisions that they made. A high school kid could make better decisions than they've made in this.
It takes just as long as Joe Biden's speech handler, because Joe Biden said he saved lives, but he actually cost lives.
It was more about his son. My son wasn't mentioned.
Because it wasn't about your son. It was about his son and him.
Maybe it's because my deceased son, Bo, served in Iraq for a full year. Before that, well.
Damn, Joe Biden, you don't even remember where your son served at before Iraq? You dumb son of a bitch. You done forgot about your son, Bo, in his service to the United States of America.
It was his son and about him, and nothing to do with the 13.
That selfish son of a bitch. He couldn't even pay the parents the proper respect in private.
He's not going to speak to, and I'm not going to speak to, the private conversations. Of course, they have the right to convey whatever they would like.
What is that? The truth? The Biden administration ain't shit?
They have fumbled the ball every step of the way.
They fumbled the ball at the goal line when they could have scored a touchdown, because Joe Biden and the Biden administration was warned in a phone call by the Afghanistan president early on, like a couple of months ago.
In much of the call, Biden focused on what he called the Afghan government's perception problem.
But Joe Biden didn't want to look bad. He wanted to look like a hero, because Joe Biden wanted to end the war, no matter how it looked.
I need not tell you the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things are not going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. There's a need to project a different picture.
So Joe Biden knew the Taliban was taking over Afghanistan, and he didn't do nothing about it.
Was the president in any way pushing a false narrative in that call with the Afghan president?
I think it's pretty clear. Again, I'm not going to go into details of a private conversation. But what we saw over the course of the last few months is a collapse in leadership. And that was happening even before Ghani left the country.
I take responsibility for the decision.
The decision to do nothing when you knew the Taliban was taking over Afghanistan.
And I know the president also said in his speech that that assumption about how long the Afghan government would hold on, how long the military would be able to hold on, he acknowledged that that was a failed assumption. Who is responsible for that assumption? Is the president frustrated with his team at all?
Hell no, because remember, they the one that advised him.
I don't think anyone assessed that they would collapse as quickly as they did. Anyone in this room, anyone in the region, anyone anywhere in the world. If you have anyone who did, I'd be surprised.
Ooh, I got somebody. Joe Biden.
I still instructed our national security team to prepare for every eventuality, even that one.
Joe Biden said he was prepared for everything, even that one.
I take responsibility for the decision.
And Joe Biden said he take responsibility for his decisions. Next! The buck stops with him.
I would say I'll give you a different assessment of what I saw, which is that he gave a forceful assessment, laid out a forceful case to the American people.
That nigga laid a sweetheart case for the Taliban and laid a bullshit case out on the Afghanistan army.
So we were ready when the Afghan security forces, after 2 decades of fighting for their country and losing thousands of their own, did not hold on as long as anyone expected. We were ready when they and the people of Afghanistan watched their own government collapse.
So all of a sudden, now you was ready. But you said you wasn't ready because you didn't know that the Afghanistani army was going to get took over by the Taliban in 11 days. But all of a sudden, now you're ready. Ain't that a bitch?
I met with Ghani and members of his cabinet, I think it was in July, and they told me and other senators how frustrated they were with the Biden administration because they wouldn't give them a straight story about how much aid we would provide and when air support would end.
Joe Biden say pick a date. I did.
I've been told that the Afghans were told by the Biden administration you could not count on any air support after August 31st. Now that's a big deal because that spread throughout the Afghan military. They were trained to fight with American air support behind them, and we took that off the table.
Now the Taliban has got them aircrafts on the damn table.
As General McKenzie said, this is the way the mission was designed. It was designed to operate under severe stress and attack.
Well, if it was designed for that, that designer failed. You need to fire his ass.
I take responsibility for the decision.
Or fire your ass. Next! Joe Biden, why you didn't call the parents of the soldiers that was killed? You got this father You got this father on here Googling on how long it's going to take the Biden administration to contact him.
And I somehow from the internet gathered about 8 hours. And this is about after he had talked, because after he had talked, he had said that, you know, I believe he had said that, no, they're still going to be contacted. Or I think maybe the commentator said, well, there'll be some knock on the doors tonight.
That has to sound real comforting to a father in distress.
So at that time, I didn't know if there was going to be a knock on the door or a call. So about after his speech that he did, I then got my phone and put my phone down by the television. Now I had the cable on that had the 4 different networks on my cable. So I had Fox News, BBC, CNN, and something else.
MSNBC, probably. Fake news.
Was I got my phone that has the camera at the front porch, and I put that down. So if anyone was to walk up, I'd be able to rush outside and intercept them, because I didn't want, if something happened to my son, that these Marines, nothing against them, were to tell my family. I felt like, you know, that was my responsibility.
Because that was the man thing to do.
Being a Marine to these guys is everything. And having this happen to these heroes, every one of them's a hero. There's no doubt. Every last one of them. They died with their brothers and their sisters right next to them, doing exactly what they all wanted to do.
But it's definitely not how they wanted to do it.
Let me be clear. Leaving August the 31st is not due to an arbitrary deadline. It was designed to save American lives.
But instead, you cost Americans lives.
I take responsibility for the decision.
As well, you should.
And 7:15, I see something in the corner of my eye on my phone, and 3 people are walking up my driveway, and my other son, his brother, had gone to a football game and had 2 of his friends. So I was hoping that, you know, it was him. And as soon as I saw them turn the corner and saw it was 3 Marine suits, my life changed forever.
It's the absolute worst feeling in the world.
A feeling that no parent should experience.
And I went down there and met them, and I think I did before they even knocked on the door.
No parents experienced this in the last 18 months. 13 parents just experienced it in the last week.
And all I kept saying, and this goes to the point that you're asking, did any service, you know, come and address to us? Yes. And they were incredible. These young men had so much empathy and were so concerned with me and my family, who luckily my family wasn't there. It was just me.
Because when a tragedy hit, a man of the house has to step up.
And I thank God, you know, I thank Jesus that happened, that I was able to intercept them. And all I kept telling them, they were literally there for like 5 minutes. I was all, you know, let's sign whatever papers we have to sign now, but you have to leave.
How can Joe Biden sit there and tell America or this father, this is exactly how this plan was supposed to go?
Because I have to take care of my family, and I don't want someone to come here while you're here. And they were totally understanding. And then it dawned on me that, yes, maybe I don't need the condolences from them, but I don't want to take that opportunity from my other family members, my wife, my son.
And how could he work up the courage to tell his family members that his son has died?
So I asked them, look, they're at a football game for the high school, watching a football game. Can you please wait down the street until they come? And then I could see if they want you to come and do your condolences presentation. Those boys sat out there for 4 hours.
Because that's what American soldiers do.
For 4 hours they sat out there until they came, until my wife came, which it was not good, and I could not have them come to the house. It was horrible. Like I said, I've been up for about 36 hours.
You've been up 36 hours while Joe Biden been asleep 36 hours. Everybody doing their job except Joe Biden.
but I was in awe and just humbled by the by their performance.
I wonder, do Joe Biden see these parents' emotion?
If Mr. Biden would like to tell me how I can sleep better at night right now, or any American can, while he is serving an administration, please give me a call and let me know how I can sleep tonight, a full night.
That's a call Joe Biden will not make, but Donald Trump would have.
Very much. Jimmy knew he wasn't coming home. Jimmy knew he wasn't coming home. And he said he said, Mama, I hope that people don't forget that I ever lived. And if you could remember just Jimmy, that would mean so much to me. I was a Marine as also, and a Marine and mother of a Marine. It would mean so much to me, sir.
We will do it.
Thank you so much. It means so much.
You take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Joe Biden can't remember any of the truth's name. Hell, Joe Biden can't even remember his own son's name.
Because my son, like all the sons and daughters, he didn't make it home. And it is on your watch.
I take responsibility for the decision.
The decision that put America in danger and got American soldiers killed.
Because he was doing his job well. And he counted on you to tell the troops what your desire was. And he followed through with your desires. So it is on you right now to tell me
that she's safe to sleep at night. What about the safety that her son died for? Can you promise her that, Joe Biden?
Some of the Goldstar families have criticized the president's conduct at the dignified transfer. There was a father of one Marine who said that the president appeared to be checking his watch every time a flag-draped transfer case came out of the plane.
Because Joe Biden didn't really want to be there.
When I saw Biden look at his watch, I was literally like, you got to be kidding me.
No, Joe Biden always doing some disrespectful shit.
In reference to the checking of his watch, that didn't happen just once.
Mark, you want to comment on the watch incident? Did you notice the same thing?
Yes, I did. I actually leaned into my son's mother's ear and I said, I swear to God, if he checks his watch one more time, and that was only probably 4 times in.
That happened on every single one that came out of that airplane. It happened on every single one of them.
I couldn't look at him anymore after that.
They would release the salute and he looked down at his watch on every last one, all 13. He looked down at his watch.
Just considering especially the time and why we were there, it was, I found to be the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
And as a father, you know, seeing that and the disrespect
make you want to kick the president's ass.
I chose to stay with my brother's wife. She wanted the chance to look him in the eye and see if it was going to be a sincere conversation or apology.
I know what I would bet my money on.
And I was able to stand about 15 seconds of his fake scripted apology, and I had to walk away.
And out of that 15 seconds, that's 14 seconds too long.
What made you feel like it was fake?
Because Joe Biden is scripted. His whole damn life is scripted.
He would not look us in the eye. There was not an ounce of sympathy looking at his face.
There's no sincerity in Joe Biden.
It was he tapped her on the knee and said, I know what you're going through. I lost my son.
Who gives a fuck? Next! Lots of parents lose kids, and you probably cause more parents' kids their life too.
Does the president rule out needing to send troops back to Afghanistan to deal with a similar threat should it arise now?
I'm not going to look into a crystal ball in the future, but I think he's been pretty clear he doesn't have an intention to start another war and redeploy troops to Afghanistan.
He don't want to, but he gonna have to.
To those who wish America harm, to those who engage in terrorism against us or our allies, know this: the United States will never rest. We will not forgive. We will not forget.
Wait a minute. It was a high terrorist alert against Americans when y'all was at the airport. Y'all leave, and all of a sudden, the danger of terrorists killing Americans don't exist no more. And you sitting up here threatening the ISIS-K members that you're about to kill them, and you still got Americans stranded in Afghanistan. How safe is they now? You think you're just going to threaten terrorists, you going to kill terrorists and drone strike them and shit like that, and they not going to do nothing to Americans over there that are stranded? You got the ISIS-K fucked up.
We'll hunt you down to the ends of the earth, and you will pay the ultimate price.
And they're going to hunt Americans down, and they're going to pay the ultimate price for you on TV talking this bullshit that you're about to hunt them down. You don't endanger American lives even more by talking this shit. Next, you stupid son of a bitch. More American lives just got cost.
I mean, the president has not hesitated to use force when warranted, when he feels it's been warranted. He has done strikes in certain parts of the world. He has made very clear, and he said today, our work with you, we're not done with you, ISIS. That was a paraphrase, but he said it better.
So you not done with ISIS, and you think the ISIS is not done with Americans that's over there stranded.
And another thing he's lying about, if the war is over, why are we still using drones to kill people and talking about more drone killing in the future if there's no threat from Afghanistan?
Because you got drones.
It appears that several children were killed in one of the drone strikes. Can you say that it was still successful if that was the collateral damage? And how will the U.S. determine that it has the intelligence necessary to keep carrying out these drone strikes if civilians are going to be caught in the crossfire?
So you mean to tell me the drone killed more kids than it killed terrorists?
You're confident that in the two drone strikes the U.S. did, terrorists were killed in both of those strikes?
I believe that's the assessment that's been put out by CENTCOM.
Well, did CENTCOM put out the number of kids that was killed by the same damn drone attack?
And let me say this about drones. If drones would stop ISIS from taking over Iraq and Syria, why didn't it work then?
I guess the Biden administration say it's going to work now. Ain't that a bitch? And he also said he wasn't going to leave Americans. So what should we believe?
But we will leave no one behind.
The hell you won't. You left a couple of thousand of American citizens behind.
President Biden said Americans who were given multiple chances to leave, dating back several months. But things, as you just noted, changed dramatically in the last few weeks. My question is, how many of those families said they wanted to stay in Afghanistan in the last few weeks, 2-3 weeks?
After the ISIS-K members was released from prison and they put a deadline on American lives.
Since March, we reached out 19 times to Americans in Afghanistan with multiple warnings and offers to help them leave Afghanistan, all the way back as far as March.
So you saying it's the Americans' fault that you couldn't get them out? Not your fault, the Americans' fault. Blame it on the Americans now. First it was Trump, then it was the Afghanistani army, then it was the UK.
And is it really fair to say, for the president to say that they didn't leave when they had the chance? As you just mentioned, no one expected the collapse as happened, and the president himself, for months, was publicly saying that the Taliban would not be running things, and also that this exit would be safe and organized.
So Joe Biden, if the American citizens got comfortable in Afghanistan, it's because they was listening to you, and you told the American citizens in Afghanistan the Taliban wasn't going to take over. You lied to the American citizens in Afghanistan. Because what happened to the people that were trying to get out of Afghanistan before the 17-day deadline?
After we started the evacuation 17 days ago, we did initial outreach and analysis and identified around 5,000 Americans who had decided earlier to stay in Afghanistan, but now wanted to leave.
But you said you contacted 5,000 people after the 17-day deadline, and you got 5,000 people out of Afghanistan after the 17-day deadline. How many people did you really come in contact with and get out before?
Well, I would say first that no one is placing blame here. I think it's important for people to understand, though, what the process has been.
It wasn't no process. If Joe Biden contacted 5,000 motherfuckers after the 17 days.
Well, there are between 100 and 200 American citizens who have not yet departed. We have also evacuated more than 5,500 American citizens and their family members and 115,000 other people.
Other people? Other people? Who in the hell is these other people? Do y'all know who these other people is? I heard these other people don't even fucking speak English, just like the other immigrants that don't speak English. Y'all flooding the country with people who don't speak English.
No American citizens came out on the last, what we call the Joint Tactical Exfiltration, the last 5 jets to leave.
No American people, but y'all got 115,000 Afghanistani people.
Our Operation Allied Rescue ended up getting more than 5,500 Americans out.
Oh, so it was 500 before the 17 days. You contacted the 5,000 after the 17 day. My bad. You had 500 people on the waiting to go list, but was it only 5,000 American citizens in Afghanistan?
If there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
Well, nigga, that was a lie. Your ass is gone.
Is the administration essentially placing blame on Americans who could not get to the airport in time?
Hell yeah, because he told you to get there. Now, how you got there was up to you. He didn't have no say-so on how you got there. Just get there. No instructions. Go past the Taliban, the Afghanistan, the ISIS, the Al-Qaeda. Go past all of them and get to the airport. We got you. We'll keep the light on for you.
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded.
We maintain the ability to bring them in up until immediately before departure.
Now we believe that about 100 to 200 Americans remain in Afghanistan with some intention to leave.
But they are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home.
But we were not able to bring any Americans out. That activity ended probably about 12 hours before our exit.
Most of those who remain are dual citizens, long-time residents who had early decided to stay because of their family roots in Afghanistan.
We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to get them home if they want to return home.
Although we continued the outreach and would have been prepared to bring them on until the very last minute, but none of them made it to the airport and were able to be accommodated.
The bottom line, 90% of Americans in Afghanistan who wanted to leave were able to leave.
I'm just calling you out for saying that we are stranding Americans in Afghanistan.
But I want to emphasize again that simply because we have left, that doesn't mean the opportunities for both Americans that are in Afghanistan that want to leave and Afghans who want to leave, they will not be denied that opportunity. I think our Department of State is going to work that very hard.
And for those remaining Americans, there is no deadline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out.
When we have been very clear that we are not leaving Americans who want to return home, we are going to bring them home. And I think that's important for the American public to hear and understand.
They were not able to organize themselves and get after us as we conducted the final withdrawal.
Secretary of State Blinken is leading the continued diplomatic efforts to ensure safe passage for any American, Afghan partner, or foreign national who wants to leave Afghanistan.
No, I don't think they want to leave Afghanistan. They want to stay there and deal with ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the rest of the terrorists that's fit to come to Afghanistan.
The president himself, in his interview with ABC News, said that if there's American citizens left, quote, we're going to stay until we get them all out.
If there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
Well, first, I would say that the president remains committed to getting every American citizen who wants to get out.
It's what America's all about. It's about pulling together, leaving nobody behind.
That's an enduring commitment.
This town, this state, this country
takes care of our own. Leave nobody behind.
One that will not change and one we're going to focus on every single day.
Giving everyone a fair shot. Leaving nobody behind.
We are going to get every American citizen out. That has not changed.
That we do take care of our own. That we leave nobody behind.
Why should those Americans believe that this commitment is enduring when 13 days ago that commitment changed?
The only commitment Joe Biden committed to and stuck to is immigrant commitment. Joe Biden ain't lived up to none of his American commitments, but he damn sure lived up to immigrant commitments.
The decision to end the military airlift operations at Kabul airport was based on the unanimous recommendation of my civilian and military advisors.
And the hit I put on my baby mama is based on donations from people like Beth Roberts. Beth Roberts is my Secretary of Advisors.
The Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and all the service chiefs.
Well, all of them is idiots. They told you the wrong shit.
After the Taliban seized power, we engaged in an around-the-clock effort to provide every American the opportunity to leave.
But I guess they didn't take that opportunity, according to you. They'd rather be stuck with the Taliban, Afghanistan, and ISIS-K than to be in America with their family.
General Donahue, one of the last things he did before leaving was talk to the Taliban commander that he had been coordinating with as soon as at about the time we were going to leave, just to let them know that we were leaving.
You let the Taliban know you was leaving before you let American citizens know you was leaving? Hell, some of them was probably still trying to get to the airport. Y'all left a whole day early.
These specific allegations from our sources on the ground and people who are assisting in these rescue operations who say that because of inconsistent policies, conflicting policies, and also a lack of coordination between the State Department and the Pentagon, and also competing interests from people in Washington with influence who are pulling strings, this creates a chaos in which vulnerable Afghans, including SIVs, were left behind, but individuals who may not have who is not an at-risk individual gets to leave.
They even left dogs behind. And them dogs was more patriotic than most of them people that came over here.
Look, there's a lot of heartbreak associated with this departure. We did not get everybody out that we wanted to get out. But I think if we'd stayed another 10 days, Louis, we wouldn't have gotten everybody out that we wanted to get out. And there still would have been people who would have been disappointed with that. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, the people who really supposed to be over here is not really over here. They still over there. Y'all motherfuckers was just letting anybody on the plane so y'all can have a high-ass number. Y'all can brag about having 122,000 people over here that you evacuated, but you don't know who in the hell is them 122,000.
Giving hate no safe harbor and leaving no one behind.
You left American citizens behind like I left my kids behind. Donald Trump wouldn't have left nobody behind. He's not like me and Joe Biden. Riker, when you grow up, don't be like me and Joe Biden. A deadbeat daddy and an idiot.
The agreement was that you would not take the country over militarily. If you tried to do that, all bets are off. We're not going to leave. The other part of the agreement was that you would work with the Afghan government to form a government under the Constitution of Afghanistan.
Not take over the Constitution of Afghanistan.
My predecessor, the former president, signed an agreement with the Taliban to remove U.S. troops by May the 1st. Just months after I was inaugurated.
Next! Who gives a fuck? You sounded like a broke record with that May 1st shit. That was not Donald Trump plan.
What that map shows is that they were in gross violation of the agreement between Trump and the Taliban. So when President Biden says he was locked into getting out because of the Trump plan, he's again lying.
And I'm still waiting on Joe Biden to tell the truth.
Frankly, there's a little bit of selective memory loss from some of the people who served in the last administration about these circumstances.
And there's some selective lies coming from this administration. The only selective loss is Joe Biden memory. Wait a minute. That's not selective. That's involuntarily.
Remember why we went to Afghanistan in the first place? because we were attacked by Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda?
You said that already. Next!
I respectfully suggest you ask yourself this question.
No, I suggest you answer a motherfucking question. Next! You the president.
Would we have ever gone to war in Afghanistan?
Why in the hell is you talking in hypotheticals? Next! Talk facts, not fiction. Like the fact that Ami Paris donated to my Cash App. Ami Paris. That sounds French.
And let me be clear.
No, we rather you be honest. Next!
What is the Taliban? Are they now our frenemy? Are they our adversary? Are they our enemy? What are they?
Well, it's hard to put a label.
No, it's not. The label is terrorists. That's their label. Fucking terrorists. Next!
Any possibility of coordination against ISIS-K with them?
It's possible.
So not only is we going to be friends with the Taliban, we also going to be friends with ISIS-K. Well, hell, what about Al-Qaeda? Why leave them out? You going to leave Al-Qaeda out like I'm going to leave my kids out of Johnny Manahan donation.
We'll continue to support the Afghan people through diplomacy, international influence, and humanitarian aid.
And the Afghan people include terrorists, ISIS-K, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban.
We'll continue to push for regional diplomacy engagement to prevent violence and instability. We'll continue to speak out for the basic rights of the Afghan people, especially women and girls, as we speak out for women and girls all around the globe.
Well, women and girls in Afghanistan is getting forced into marriage. What you gonna do about that? Remember, you the president that said the Uyghurs over there in China is getting exactly what they deserve.
I give you my word with all of my heart.
Hopefully that motherfucker will stop beating soon.
I believe this is the right decision, a wise decision.
And just remember, it's your decision.
And the best decision for America. Thank you. I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list. Thank you, and may God bless you all. They gave me a list here. The first person I was instructed to call on was... I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead.
Mr. President, on Afghanistan?
I'm not going to answer Afghanistan now.
Can you guarantee every American will be out? Shout out to the Swigler, John Swigler. Shout out to my boy Ken, always coming through. And what's up, Andre Joseph, my dude.